Hi, my name is Dean Johnson. I'm editor-in-chief of Follow South Jersey, and welcome to Follow Salem podcast. Today, we're with Leah Widmer and Ashley Serrano. They are the owners and operators of the Willow's Wisp Bakery at 82 Market Street here in Salem. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. So let's start with your backgrounds. What brought you guys to Salem, and where are you from? Tell us a little something about Leah. Start with you.
So originally I'm from South Mississippi. Moved up this way because my husband got a job working with Boeing just before the pandemic. We lived in Philly for a while before we moved to Pennsville a couple of years ago.
And what brought you to Salem?
So still live in Pennsville.
Okay.
The space in Salem, we just found the storefront that seemed perfect for our needs, the location,
Right.
and the community has been great.
Fantastic. Ashley?
Hey, I moved here about a year ago, so I also live in Pennsville, and I moved to I wanted some more small town vibes and less of the hustle that we get in North Jersey.
Right.
And as far as moving our business to Salem, why not Salem? We love Salem. The community's great. The people are great. Everybody's been so welcoming. The property itself is gorgeous. We have a historic building, and we absolutely just fell in love with it immediately.
Right.
And now here we are.
And when you say North Jersey, do you mean North Jersey or Central Jersey, or does that not exist, or do you
I-
not partake of that argument?
So officially, I am in Central New Jersey, and they did declare it a real thing, I think, last year. But for here, everyone calls it North Jersey, but I would be in Monmouth, which is like Freehold, Howell.
Right.
If you've ever seen the Jersey Show, the Jersey
Jersey
Shore
Shore.
show,
Yeah.
that's where I'm from. I went to high school with one of the cast members.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So how did you two become business partners?
So shortly after I moved in, I had decided to start a little side gig selling plants because I went to school for landscape architecture. Plants are kind of like my passion. So I found Pennsville had a small business alliance. So I went to a few meetings for that, and then Ashley was at one of the meetings. We got to talking and ended up trading pet birds for cake.
Pet birds.
Pet birds,
Yes.
For
tiny
cake.
tiny quail,
Uh-huh.
tiny little birds.
Okay. Live birds.
Live
Yeah.
birds,
Right.
yes. So we ended up trading birds for cake. Then we got to hanging out after some of the meetings, and then we just discussed different avenues of small business.
Right. Right. At what point did you guys decide to open a bakery?
So after the meeting, we talked about opening a sweet tea and lemonade company, and we did. And then one day I had traded cake to somebody to go to a
You do a lot of
vendor event.
bartering.
We do a lot of bartering. A lot of people like cake. I traded a birthday cake to somebody to get into a vendor event, and they were just fantastic. And they were like, hey, there's a short-term lease spot here that opened up. So we jumped on it, but unfortunately after a month we overgrew the space and decided that we needed more room. And then we found the listing for our building, and that was it. We went from one thing to the next, and
It was just a series of fortune events.
Yes.
Things fell into place.
Right.
Like the short-term lease showed us that we could move on to bigger and better things. It was a weekend only, and we quickly realized that we needed and wanted more.
Before we move on, are the birds still around?
so Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, and Harry Styles are doing wonderful.
Right.
They're living their best life.
Singing in harmony, I'm sure.
They're singing in harmony. They're fantastic. They're still doing good.
Very good. So tell us about the name, the Willow's Wisp. Is there a story behind that, and how did you come up with that?
Yeah, so we have a very cottagecore vibe. We like to keep things tavern-like and whatnot, and usually when you see that, you see like lore for different like mythical creatures. So the Willow the Wisp is a Scottish mythical creature you see over marshes, and they lead travelers to destinations. Depending on the story you read, it could be good or bad.
Okay.
And I feel that's the same for baked goods, because depending on like your situation, I mean, in general, like sweets taste very good, but in moderation, they're
Right.
great.
Uh-huh.
They're fine. Too many of them, and they end up being very bad for you.
Right. Sometimes it's hard to find that thin line
Yeah,
between,
very thin line.
too much and too little.
So it worked all around
Right.
for us.
Okay, very cool. So when did you guys open?
August 18th was our official opening.
Okay. Now, do each of you bake, or one of you the main baker? How does the business work? How do you, I guess, divvy up the responsibilities of running your business?
So I do most of our baking. Leah is learning and she steps in whenever I need help, and she also helps bake so I could have a morning off. So Leah also does bake, and she does spend a lot of time learning and asking questions,
Mhm.
and is really embraced baking for somebody that wasn't ever planning on having a bakery necessarily.
Right.
She really has learned so much in such a small amount of time. So I handle most of our baking, and Leah handles a lot of our back end things, websites, social media,
Mhm.
business cards, um, the numbers, all of the behind the scenes things, and then also runs our front of house. So you'll mostly see Leah interacting with the customers. She takes care of all the ordering and stuff in the front. She also is knowledgeable about all of the plants and stuff like that we keep in the store
Right.
and the other vendors, so she takes care of that. So Leah does quite a lot of the store. She writes the list that tells you what I'm baking, and I bake it, and then most of the back end stuff is Leah, and we also have events and stuff. So it's likely you'll see Leah at the events as well.
Right.
She makes it sound like I do a lot more
It-
than
it-
she
it's-
does, but there is a lot that goes into what she does for baking. Like the timing of things is very specific, the measuring, and like the long hours. So she does do just as much as
And
I
how's
do.
the learning of the baking going?
Slowly,
Slowly.
yes,
Yeah, successful?
yes,
Unsuccessful?
mostly.
Have you had
Mostly
have you had
successful.
some major not so successful baking
We burned
attempts?
some coconut earlier this week.
We did burn coconut, but it was me.
I
I knew I was gonna do it too. I was about to turn the timer on, and I said to myself, "Oh, I don't need a timer. I've got this. It's only a minute or two." And I'm walking around, and in my head, all I can think is coconut, the coconut, the coconut, the coconut. And then Leah asked me something, and then it was never about the coconut again until all of a sudden I smelled toasted coconut and went running through the building.
I'm a little too cautious, and I end up with some undercooked items.
Okay.
Which, if caught in time, it can be remedied. Just pop it back in. But when
Right.
I'm by myself, it's hard to tell
Right.
because I'm getting there. I'm on the cautious side. I'd rather not burn things.
Yeah, I get it. How do you decide? Because you mentioned a list, right? You'll come up with a list of what you're working on. How do you decide what to work on any given day? Do you have a regular menu, or is it
We-
experimentation?
A little bit of both. We have items that are always on the menu. We just change up different flavors. So, like, we have muffins. So we switch between like 6 or 7 different flavors of muffins. The same with the scones when we get to there. And some of it, a good chunk of it is by like customer request. Like, some people say, "Oh, well, you do this." It's like, "Yeah, we can." Or like we had someone ask for a sweet potato brownie. So, like, you know what? We'll test that recipe. We'll do that, and then we made a batch for them to taste, and then they pre-ordered for Thanksgiving, and we actually put the extras in the store, and that was a big hit
Wow.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's a little. We're still narrowing down what we're gonna have every day, but it's always mostly going to be on rotation.
Right.
We let the town really tell us what it is that they want. There's a lot of people in the area, and everybody has their own family traditions and what they want in a bakery.
Right.
So we mix and match. We're not, we're not an Italian bakery. We're not anything specific. We do everything from brugala and challah and babka to baklava, and so we try to have something for everybody. And when people come in and they tell us about like their family traditions and stuff, it's really cool that we could, be part of that and have that special item for them in the store.
Right.
So we'll do pretty much anything that anybody would like. They just have to let us know, which is pretty cool because we get to learn a lot about all the different people in Salem and their family and stuff like that. And then we also do special days for things. It's not reasonable to think that every day we could carry everything,
Right.
but obviously, people are excited about things. So on Sunday we do apple strudel, which is like a big hit. We make it in house. It's a labor of love. But we have that every Sunday. Every Saturday, we have donut day.
Right.
And I think we're going to continue doing things like that. I know we would like to bring on Bagel Day and other stuff. So,
Right. Now, the Saturday donut day, you get donuts from
Century Bakery
Century
in
Bakery in
Bridgeton.
Bridgeton.
They're absolutely fantastic. We love them and know that everybody else will love them.
How did that arrangement begin?
We did a lot of taste testing.
We did a lot of taste testing.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Absolutely.
That's approaching that thin line too, right?
Yes.
It was hit or miss on some of them because we don't want to put out anything that we won't eat ourselves.
Mhm.
So finding the one that we felt was the best was important, so that we knew we were putting out the best product.
Right. And that would be Century Bakery.
Yes.
So you mentioned, aside from the sweet potato brownies, which
Mhm.
I've never heard of before, what are some of the more unique things that you've been asked to make and you've made?
That was definitely the most unique.
It's pretty unique.
I think
We get asked for all different things. I wouldn't say that any of them are more unique than anything else, just less common.
Right.
I know that for me, growing up in North Jersey, it's primarily a very Italian area. All the bakeries are Italian, all
Right.
the desserts you see are Italian. So to be able to have a bakery where we don't do that is awesome because I love Italian food and Italian pastries as much as the next person.
Right.
But it's been my whole life was growing up with that kind of dessert. So I love that we get to make things like gingerbread cake, strudel. That we get to make cranberry orange things and just things for every holiday and every season, and that we don't have to stick to one type of baking.
Right. So when did you become interested in baking? Have you always been a baker?
Not always, but pretty close. I got my first part-time job when I was 14, and it was working in a kosher Italian restaurant. And from
Kosher Italian
Yeah.
restaurant. Okay, I'm just gonna think about that.
It was lovely. It was a great time. I worked there for a really long time. The food was great. The people were great. The experience was awesome. I learned a lot. And then I ended up applying for a vocational program in high school, in culinary school. So I started that when I was 16. And initially, I was planning on becoming a chef. But when I took baking my second semester, I loved it. And then I never switched back.
Okay, very cool. And what is it that you love most about baking? What is it about it? What's the most rewarding part for you?
I think it's seeing people's faces. You're not just like giving somebody it's not just a cookie. It's more than that. It's a memory. It's a childhood. You're making a memory. You're reliving a memory. Whether it be making a small smash cake for someone's kid, that's an experience that you're never. There's only one of that experience. Your child's only going to be one once.
Right.
And while, yes, they're just smashing into a cake,
I was wondering what you meant by smash cake, and now I
Yeah,
realize what you mean by a
it's,
smash cake. A
they
1-year-old
smash into
literally
it and
smashing.
stuff. You're creating a memory, and in some cases, we are helping people relive a memory. Every Sunday we make strudel, and we've had people tell us, hey, this is something I used to do with my grandmother, my great grandmother, and it reminds you of them. So it's not, it's not just something. It's more. It's the whole. It's looking at the people and seeing their face light up because you're giving them a true moment of happiness that is hard to find some days.
So take us through a typical day at Willow's Wisp. I know bakers, you generally start pretty early.
Yeah. For the most part, we're usually in an hour and a half, 2 hours before we officially open in order to get things prepped and baked. And luckily, our items we can prep the day before, just similar to bread. You let that rise overnight before baking it. So most of our items we're able to prep the day before. That way we can just put them in the oven to bake them
Right.
the morning of, so that it's not super strenuous on us, because we've had to find the most efficient ways so that one of us isn't at the store for 14 hours
Right.
or
And it's
something
just the
like
two of you?
that. Yes.
It's the two of us, but we do have a
Ours.
couple of people that help us part time,
Yeah.
and they're fantastic. But for the most part, it's Leah and I spend quite a lot of time together in the bakery.
Almost more time with each other than our spouses.
Right. I get that. So, what do you, is your experience with like special dietary requirements? Do you offer gluten-free, dairy-free, things like that?
So we do have dairy free in the store. I would say pretty much daily there is some kind of dairy free option. We also try to keep gluten free something in the store as often as possible. But ultimately, as long as somebody lets us know ahead of time, we'll happily accommodate.
Like peanut-free, things like that?
Yeah, we just need to know about it. So we might not always have a gluten free item in the store, but if you know you're coming in, if you just send us a message, hey, Friday I'm going to stop in. I want to take something gluten free to a neighbor or a friend or a family member. We'll happily do it.
Right. Right. How about vegan? Have you done any vegan baking?
So most of our items include eggs and butter.
Right.
And personally, I don't know of any good substitutes for
Right.
that. I know they can make vegan items, but generally they're not as. Haven't found a recipe to use that's the quality that we go for.
Okay. Yeah. As a baker, you agree with that? Yeah.
So all of our items do contain. We use 100% butter. We don't have even shortening on the premises.
Okay.
It might be something that we explore a little bit further down the line. Initially, we hadn't really been asked for it. We primarily get asked for dairy and gluten free, but with enough notice, we're happy to take a look at something. There's always something we can do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that looks like off the top of my head because we really just haven't been asked for it.
Right.
But we'll happily accommodate anyone. We just need the time.
Right.
So.
Do you locally source your ingredients?
When we can, we do.
Yeah.
Right. We do the best to get whatever we can local. I mean, New Jersey is the garden state.
Right.
So in the fruit producing seasons, we try to get as much of our fruit as possible locally.
Right.
Other items are a little more difficult to produce locally, but we do the best we can.
So what's most popular on your menu right now?
The fudge brownies.
The brownies are really popular.
Yep.
The brownies, baklava. We do a lot of strudel, a lot of muffins, crumb cake.
Yes, crumb cake is a big one.
What are your personal favorites?
Personal? I like the sugar cookies.
Sugar cookies.
Very simple. I mean, your favorite ice cream was vanilla, sugar cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the basic.
Just the basic.
Yeah.
When you've got so many contrasting flavors going in and out, I have to try things to just bounce things back and forth. Right. I like to keep things simple for my personal enjoyment.
Okay. All right. Ashley?
My current favorite are, we just started doing bear claws. So it is a Danish filled with almond, and I really like that. But any of the laminated stuff or yeast doughs, so the croissants.
Right.
It's butter and chocolate and happiness. I would say those.
Right.
And donut day.
And donut day.
Donut day is our favorite day.
The donuts are great.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with a donut. So you mentioned that you'll respond to customers requesting different things, but do you ever really experiment? Try to say, hey, I have this idea, and try to put something together.
Yeah, we
inventing
definitely
something.
We definitely have a good time, and we just.
I'm gonna say that's how she came up with the fudge brownie recipe.
Yeah.
And how many iterations does that go through before it's oh, this is the one?
We
maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
We do a couple of different brownies. We do a milk chocolate malt brownie that's super popular. We do an espresso dark chocolate. We also do a true white chocolate brownie, not a blondie. Because all of our brownies, what makes them special is they're super, super fudgy. It's primarily chocolate and not cocoa powder and stuff like that. So it's a very, very fudgy brownie.
Right.
And we also do it in white chocolate. We do white chocolate raspberry. Sometimes we have chunkies out. Chunkies are our giant 4-inch round filled cookies.
Filled cookies, I say.
Yeah.
Yep. So like if we
Goo
do
inside.
yes, so if we do a peanut butter Reese's chunky, that one's gonna have peanut butter inside. We've done so like with similar to a Twix, it's got like caramel and chocolate,
Right.
and other
They're
flavors.
they're big. They're almost a pound. They end up
It
being
is 4 cookies in one.
Yeah, it's 4 large cookies.
Isn't that approaching the line?
Yes.
It's meant to be shared with
Okay.
the friends and
We-
then their friends.
We
Well,
have had some people try to finish them in one serving.
Right.
No one's ever done it.
That's
No.
great.
Yeah, we had some real committed people. We told them you're not gonna be able to do it because they're filled
And they're rich.
and they're rich. We fill them with a white chocolate hazelnut spread or peanut butter. They weigh almost a pound.
Wow.
They're filled inside. There's toppings outside. I think the most we've ever seen someone finish was
2/3.
2/3, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Has any of these recipes ever gone awry? Like you've put something together and it just wasn't what you thought it was going to be? Aside from the toasted coconut.
One of our scone recipes did that. So we tried to do a sun-dried tomato scone. Delicious. It just didn't rise. It wasn't that texture that you want in a scone.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So what's some of the more challenging aspects of being a baker? Aside from the hours and,
It's not for the weak. It's definitely not a desk job. There's a lot of lifting heavy things and there's a lot of bending and lifting and stretching. There's a lot of manual labor. We make all of our doughs and stuff like that.
right.
So there's a lot of work behind it, but it's very rewarding. And sometimes when you leave the store, I always smell like the bakery now. So that's been interesting.
Right.
Like people will just stand next to me and go, "Oh, you smell like cookies." Thank you. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
that's not, is that a bad thing?
But I would say that, and obviously, this is not. Everybody else might get off for the holidays, but we don't. We have to work extra hard on the holidays.
Right.
On the weekends, people have off. We don't. We work extra on the weekends. So it's definitely a unique schedule to have to get used to, but also your loved ones and friends and family, they have to get used to it.
Right.
Yep.
So I would say that's the second hardest part, is that sometimes you are just going to miss things,
Right.
and it is what it is.
Right. How's it been building community with Salem? Talking to residents, officials, things like that.
It's been great. Like everyone who has come in has been super supportive and nice, and we've learned so many new names and faces. We've got so many regulars now, and it's very welcoming and so much more than I expected.
Right. Right. That's good. Same thing.
Oh yeah, no, Salem has been fantastic. The customers have been fantastic. The town, everything across the board. We definitely couldn't have dreamed of a warmer welcome.
So, getting away from the baking for a second, just talking about the business itself. What are some of the challenges of starting a small business, or some of the challenges that you found starting a small business here in Salem?
For us, it was probably the funding. Because since we're renting, it's a little more difficult to get grants, and we were doing our own other employment, but while trying to start this, so it was also like managing time. So everything that the company brought in has been put right back into it to build it to what it's become.
Right. Right. So you have another business. You mentioned this earlier. At the Authentic Southern Sweet Tea. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yes. New Jersey. Authentic Southern Sweet Tea, or Authentic South Sweet Tea, New Jersey. I'm going to say it right at some point.
It's a mouthful. Authentic Southern Sweet Tea, New Jersey.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that one is when I moved up here from Mississippi, like the hardest part for me to deal with was the tea and the coffee. Because I'll go to a restaurant, I'll ask for sweet tea. One time someone brought me raspberry, and I thought it had gone bad. I was very concerned. Or they'll just bring you a sugar packet. I have learned, though, that if you ask for simple syrup to pour in your tea, it works so much better because then it's already dissolved sugar.
Okay.
So when we met after those business meetings, I was talking to her about how bad the tea here was, and she was telling me she had an idea to start a tea and lemonade company. And I'm like, let's do it. Why not? Let's go for it. So we did. And we went to multiple festivals through the summer and fall this year.
Yeah.
And that helped with the
funding with the bakery.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of responses are you getting with this sweet tea?
The sweet.
Very good.
Yes.
So everywhere we've set up, like you have the true Southerners who come up there. You always got to test, like, because if someone's claiming something, then they'll come up, and we've had very positive feedback.
What's the difference between good old fashioned South Jersey iced tea and sweet tea, authentic sweet tea?
So part of it is the brewing method. Like Southern sweet tea, it has to be brewed a specific way. You can't just brew it like a coffee. It is definitely different to bring out the different type of like oils and flavors and things. The type of sugar that you use, the type of leaves that you use. We're not using Lipton, which it turns out to be a bitter black tea, and often I don't think it's a strong enough tea itself because you want a strong tea to counteract.
What do you use?
We use tea leaves from the Alabama Tea Company. They are nicely roasted. They're nice and strong. They're fresh.
And they're Southern.
Yes.
Keeping with that.
What keeps the tea smooth a lot of the time, when you use a lower quality tea, the iced tea ends up being very bitter. It has a weird aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't. It's a very smooth finish. It was very, very well received. We actually just purchased a trailer for the sweet tea company. So this.
So you're going to continue doing this?
Yes. So this spring we'll have the trailer out and about at events, and then our long-term goal for the tea company is hopefully this time next year we are planning on taking our sweet tea recipe to distribution to have it canned and bottled.
Wow, that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
So how do you approach marketing and building your brand?
So currently we're just using community resources like Facebook, just shares, things like that, the reviews that we get. And then it's mostly just word of mouth, which has worked very well. We did start very slow, so we're not trying to do a massive amount of marketing at the moment while we continue to get the hang of like the process and how we work. We don't want to flood ourselves.
Right. What socials are you on right now?
Facebook. We have a website. We're on Instagram. I never actually figured out how to use Twitter/X, so not on that one.
Mostly Facebook with a little bit of Instagram. A lot of our like marketing is definitely word of mouth. When our customers come in the door, we try to make them feel at home, and we know, our customers by name, and we know, what's going on in their lives, and a good product, good customer service, and everybody wants to share that with people, which is great because we get people all the time. Oh, so and so recommended we come in. We didn't know you were here. That's awesome. I think in the future we probably will send out like mailers and things like that.
Right.
But right now we are not trying to run before we walk, and we're just taking it day by day.
Right. Great. So you brought some samples. Can we talk about what you've brought and maybe taste a few?
Yeah, absolutely. So of the items that we have here, we have a blueberry muffin, a piece of our apple strudel.
Mm-hmm.
We have a chocolate chip brownie. We've got some rugelach. We have cinnamon, vanilla, and chocolate.
Okay.
And then we have a raspberry streusel cake.
Wow. So what do you recommend we start with? And you brought some beverages to go along with it.
Absolutely. So we have some cream soda from Lou's Brews, which is a craft soda from Monmouth County that we carry.
Yeah, it's an old-fashioned soda line, so we carry flavors that you wouldn't commonly see. We have sarsaparilla, we have birch beer, we have root beer,
Black cherry.
black cherry, we have lime rickeys. Just really amazing soda brands. Old-fashioned soda is not as carbonated and it's not nearly as heavily sweet. It's a fantastic soda from a fantastic company, and what makes it even awesomer is Lou is only 14. He's
14.
He's a 14-year-old, quite the entrepreneur. We absolutely love and support him. We've been using him since he first opened, and then he was only 13.
Wow.
But
That's impressive.
yeah, we love them. And the tea that we use comes from Greenwich Tea Burners. They're about 25 minutes away from here. Absolutely phenomenal as well. That's New Jersey's only tea farm. Leah and I actually took a trip out there. We got to meet the tea plants. We got to meet the owners. It was fantastic, and we are so proud to carry their teas as well.
Yep, they harvest and roast the tea leaves from the Camilla sinensis plant themselves.
Wow. Okay. And the coffee?
The coffee is from Community Coffee. They are a southern brand based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They are, if you ever travel to the coast, you go to any diner or gas station, they're the coffee you're going to have. It is so smooth, much less bitter. This one is the pecan praline flavor. It is our most popular in the store.
Yeah, most of the time people are not huge on flavored coffees, so we always give people a sample and they love it. It's not what I would consider to be overly flavorful. It's just a beautiful medium roast. It's very smooth.
Right. Right. So yeah, let's
So here,
let's try something.
pass these guys over
So
to
would you recommend I try something first? I mean, I heard a lot about the strudel.
Strudel first.
Strudel first?
Strudel first,
Here's a fork.
because we have a whole day based on strudel.
And the coffee, the
Yep.
the praline coffee?
Absolutely.
And you guys help yourself too.
I
I can't eat all this.
guarantee we eat plenty.
All right, so as I'm taking this, tell me a little bit more about the strudel. Thank
So
you.
the strudel is a labor of love. All of the layers that you see in the strudel, we have to put that in there. Layer by layer, layer by layer. We use
There's creamer sugar.
yeah. So we make the apple strudel in the house every weekend. We usually do like an apple rum filling with cinnamon. We use a little clove, a little cardamom, a little allspice, and a little something else that's secret. And we roll
It's very
it.
light.
Yeah, for how much apple and how many layers and how saturated in butter it is, it is like very airy and light.
Yeah, very flaky.
It's a big hit, but it is definitely a labor of love. And actually, Leah just learned how to make strudel the other week, and made a gorgeous looking strudel. So that was really cool. It was a very proud moment.
It was.
Who made this one? Was this?
That one was one that I made.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. All right, what's next?
So the raspberry streusel cake, you're gonna have some crumb topping that kind of melds itself into the cake, as well as the raspberries swirled inside.
Right. And this is
So this is so we carry a raspberry crumb cake. This one is not that. This is our raspberry butter streusel cake. So the streusel kind of gets in the cake. It's more buttery. It's more melty, less dense than our crumb cake.
yeah, you get the buttery, and it lingers a little bit too. It's nice, like a finish, like a buttery finish to it. You get the sweetness right up and then the buttery.
Yep.
Right. And this coffee is fantastic. I'm not a big fan of flavored coffees either. I like coffee to taste like coffee.
Exactly. Yep. So this one is not overpowering at all, and I think that has something to do with the fact that for this one, I believe they actually add pieces of pecan in with the beans.
Wow.
So that you get that natural flavor instead of the artificial flavor that most flavored coffees have.
Right. Fantastic. What's next?
We have a blueberry muffin. We have muffins in the store every day. We rotate flavors constantly, but
You make
blueberry
these. You make them
streusel-
right at the
Oh yeah,
site itself.
Absolutely.
Off of these. And the blueberries, where do you get the blueberries?
So it depends on the time
season?
of year.
Uh-huh.
When Halters is open still, and they had, I mean, because New Jersey blueberries, you gotta get them in New
Mhm.
Jersey when you can.
Mm-hmm.
The last batch, I have no idea.
Well, it's nice because a lot of times you get a blueberry muffin, and it's more muffin than blueberry.
Exactly. We do try to add a bit more blueberry to all of that. So this upcoming year, we are going to working with some farmers to get a few bushels of blueberries that we can freeze, so we can use the local blueberries throughout the year.
Because they're fantastic. I have a blueberry situation at my house. I have like 21 blueberry bushes.
Oh, wow.
It's less
Yeah.
than that now.
A couple of them were lost to some weather, but the blueberries in New Jersey are just fantastic. So when we can, we obviously prefer to get them in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I know, like Hamilton is the blueberry capital of the world, for example, or so they say.
Mhm.
But they are.
The
so-
pine trees in the area definitely help because blueberries like more acidic soils,
Right.
And it's denser soil. So down here you have more sandy soils. Depending on where you're at, you get clay pockets. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily help the blueberry grow to its
Right.
what it wants to grow.
That's
to.
why there are so many around here.
Mhm.
What's next?
So the different rugulas. So those are.
Explain to me what a regula is. Did
So
I say
it's
that right?
kind of like a cross between a cookie and a Danish. It's a traditionally Jewish pastry, but it's just unanimously loved by everybody. It is similar to like almost a Danish. It's really hard to describe, but the best way I would say is a cross between like a croissant and a cookie.
Mhm.
And it's very fudgy for the chocolate.
Mhm.
And there's we also carry cinnamon and vanilla. And if you microwave them for 12 seconds, they're absolutely fantastic.
And these are
Yeah.
one of our dairy-free items.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would have never noticed that. And the chocolate is fantastic. It's like a darker chocolate, too. It's,
Yeah. Those are a big hit. We also carry babka in the store as well, which is very similar,
Mhm.
but it's like a loaf.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And then I guess lastly would be the.
That's one of the brownies we carry. So this is our chocolate chip brownie.
Mhm.
We also carry a malt milk chocolate and like 6 others. We're always changing the flavors of things.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But the brownies are very, very fudgy.
Very fudgy. How much chocolate is in there?
It's
Gosh.
it's mostly chocolate. There is quite a bit of chocolate, and this is not even our like most chocolatey one. Our malt milk chocolate ones are like that thick,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks like fudge.
Yep.
They're absolutely fantastic, and I learned to make them that way when I lived in Scotland. And that's just the best way to make a brownie. If you're gonna have a chocolate brownie, it should be chocolate.
Yep.
And not sad cocoa powder.
And then the tea.
Yes.
What do we have?
So this is Greenwich Tea Burners elderberry wine. It includes hibiscus, rose hips, elderberry, echinacea, apple pieces, lemongrass, raspberries, and blue cornflower.
It's very good.
Yes. So this one is a nice fruity, sweet naturally. So there's no added sugars or anything.
There's no sugar in this.
There's no
No.
added sugars.
Wow.
It's all the natural from the fruit.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yep. It's
It
what's
has
in-
a sweetness to it, but not too
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's one thing. Is like we get a bunch of different types of teas to add. Like for people who know teas, like you can pick out, oh, this is sweet because of the fruit, or this one is like your nice bitter, or not bitter, but strong black teas. We have
Right.
a few different kinds.
This is the tea that made us fall in love with Greenwich. We went for a tea tasting and we asked to sample 4 different teas. This is one of the teas, and immediately the quality of the tea was very, very obvious. Because we carry over 20 different flavors of their tea at any time in the store. And when you can have a customer smell a tea and they can tell you what that flavor is and be correct, that's just quality.
Right.
We have a tea blend called Campfire S'mores, and if you smell it and you drink it, you don't need to know what it was called. You know that that's Campfire S'mores.
Right.
There's no mystery behind it.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. So where do you envision the Willow's Wisp in 5 to 10 years? What's your growth plan here?
We just had a team meeting about that recently. We just purchased the trailer for our tea company.
Right.
This summer, we would like to purchase 2 more trailers, one for the bakery so we can take just baked goods and stuff to events or do parties and things like that, and then one for the plants and stuff that we have in store. That way we can also have plants hanging out in the parking lot for sale in their own trailer or take it to events. And then hopefully in 4 or 5 years from now, our landlord will hopefully sell us the building.
Okay.
We would like to potentially buy the building one day, but we are definitely planning to stay for quite a long time.
Right.
And then hopefully the tea company will go to distribution next year. So we definitely have a lot in the works, a lot going on. And honestly, it wouldn't be so uncommon for us to start another business.
It's just what we do.
It's just
Any
the
idea
thing
what
we
that?
do.
Any idea what that would be?
I think we would potentially. I think the next thing might be like maybe popcorn or something like that because we
Like
have
flavored
tea.
popcorn, things like
Maybe
that.
flavored popcorn or kettle corn. Maybe just. Yeah, who knows? It could be cotton candy. It could be anything.
Right.
We try to use things that make sense with the other businesses.
Right.
If we have the bakery, we have, wedding cakes, party cakes, everything you need. We have the tea and lemonade company. We have your mocktails. And I could see us doing something like popcorn or cotton candy, maybe even like frying things to also go with the party theme.
Right.
But it can be anything.
Yeah.
It
Well,
could
sounds
be.
like you're very open minded for that. You're ready,
Yep. We know that something's eventually going to happen. We just don't know what's there yet.
and that brings the
Usually,
excitement.
yeah,
Yeah.
we just let the chips fall where they may.
Very good. Very good. So if you could bake for any celebrity or historical figure, who would it be, and what would you bake for that person? Starting with you, Leah.
Okay.
Okay. Famous historical.
Historical figures. Throwing curveballs out there.
One curveball.
One
One
curveball. Let's see.
Or Ashley, you could jump in if it comes
So
to
a
it.
famous person or historical figure?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you can't include birds. No quails.
I'm gonna say Julia Child.
Okay.
She is really what brought like culinary and stuff to America, and like to women in general. Like she had a major influence on like American cuisine and women and cooking. Absolute visionary. So I would definitely say I would bake for her.
And what would you bake for her that would impress her?
Ooh, I had to impress her. It's probably going to be like a chocolate souffle, because that's very impressive to begin with.
Right.
And she's somebody that studied, all through Europe, and I think she would appreciate it. But I, also studied abroad,
Right.
so I think she would be impressed. I think she would like it.
Right. Very good.
See, I am so new to baking
Right.
that I would have no idea what to bake.
Right.
As for a person, I don't necessarily like think of people like famous people or historical figures outside of my realm because I've
Right.
got so many like wonderful people that I don't need to like look
Right.
at like the wider world. I don't follow like very many of the like.
And you're currently making them wonderful things.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So your bakery, the Willow's Wisp, is open when?
So Tuesday through Friday, we're open 6:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturdays, we're 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Sundays, we're 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. unless we have special events that we both have to attend to
Right.
like produce for.
And how can people reach you?
They can either message us directly on Facebook or Instagram. We have our website. They can contact us through email or
The
our
call or text.
Call or text.
Phone number?
Our phone number is 856-294-6522, and that is open to text messages.
Fantastic. Ashley, Leah, Leah, Ashley, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing us, and thank you for bringing these. These are fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm Dean Johnson, Editor-in-Chief of Follow South Jersey. Thank you for watching the Follow Salem podcast. Have a great day.